Welcome to the Wimbo Worldwide F1 podcast. F1 content around the globe.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wimbo Worldwide F1 podcast, episode 20. 20 episodes already with different content creators. Now, this F1 content creator is known for having the worst takes on Formula One and IndyCar on the platform. Those aren't my words, that's what it says on his own channel. We know him from the comedy reviews, and he's yet another F1 content creator from England. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to FP1 Will.
How's it going, man?
Hello, Will. How's it going?
Yeah, good to be here. Really good to be here.
So this is your first podcast in your new studio.
It is. It's looking good. So expect teething issues. So apologies. Have fun with the edit on this one, pal. But it's been a long time coming, and it's nice to have it all set up. It's been a fun, God knows how many years getting it all. I'm so sorry, by the way. I know we've been trying to schedule this in for God knows how long. I'm sure you've probably got the dates already, knowing you. But we've made it happen. We're here at last. So hey.
Yeah, well, I only had like a couple of hundred subscribers, and I asked if somebody wanted to do a podcast with me, and somebody tagged your name in it on Twitter. And I said, I've already had somebody from England, because at the time I was doing a podcast with people from different countries. But we came to another collaboration, which was the 5 biggest cases of karma in F1.
I completely forgot about that. God, yeah.
And it got me over 100 subscribers. So it was a great help, and I learned a lot from your way of working and the tempo that you speak in and the rhythm of your jokes. So thank you so much for the help that I got at the time.
Nah, you're welcome, man. I completely forgot about that karma video now. I think back to, obviously, when we were speaking of this before, when we met at Zandvoort. And was that before or after the karma video? I can't remember now.
It was after.
Fair enough. Right.
Zandvoort was after.
God, that feels like so long ago now. So long ago. Damn.
Well, I think it was August 2023, and I think we did the video in July 2023.
Yeah, a lot's changed. I've started losing my hair since then. I say that's the one thing I've noticed about this new studio is now I can see my hair loss so much more vividly. So that'll be that'll ramp up my timeline for going to Turkey, I think, at this rate. But hey ho.
Well, I'm trying to compensate my hair by growing some hair.
Yeah, I can't do that either. I just haven't. I've not been blessed in the genes. I try it and I just look homeless. So hey, here we are. It's great though. This mic that I've got. Obviously, I know you can't see it on your end, but it covers up my double chin. It's great.
You're like the Rob Marshall of content creators.
I can't work out if that's a compliment or not, if I'm honest.
Well, on the technical side, yes. Because that man's brilliant. He's the new Adrian Newey.
Oh boy.
But I thought I'd throw it in there because you don't hold back in your comedy reviews. No, nobody is sacred in those.
You should see the bits I don't publish.
I don't think I want to know.
No, you really don't. I've done jokes before. I've recorded them and said, nah, that's the end of my career right there. There's no way there's no way I'm getting away with that. So yeah, one day,
but
one day I'll release that.
It made me think, because sometimes I'm genuinely a little bit offended by what you say.
Oh God.
And then another harsh joke I find really funny. And then I think, what am I moaning about? That joke that I find funny might be offending somebody else. You know what I mean?
What's your favorite then? I'll put you on the spot now. How many FP1 jokes can you reel off? Off you go. 10 seconds.
Well, like when I started to get to know your channel, it was in the time when Mick Schumacher kept crashing his car, and twice he split his car in half, and you called it the Schumacher split.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But then when you make jokes about his father, I'm not particularly keen on those.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. They go downhill at that point. So
they go downhill. Oh God.
Starting this one off strong. It's all good.
What else? No, you put me on the spot. Like that's the only one I can genuinely remember.
No, that's fine.
But there's so many, like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, I mean we recorded. Well, I just put out the Lawson video, and I've already forgotten any jokes if I made any in that one, quite frankly. So it's all good.
Yeah, no, I like how you bleep out the swear words, because for some reason it gives it more effect than when you would actually say shit or fuck. You know, the bleep is actually more effective than the swear word itself.
You've got to be careful how you use it. If you overdo it, and I know I've been fallen foul of this several times. If you overdo it, it loses that effectiveness. But yeah, if you get it timed at the right moment, it can be better than just saying the word itself. It's great.
Oh, I just remember one in your Lawson video. You said that Lawson had as much chance of getting success as Naomi Schiff had a chance to grow in a cock.
Yeah, that was it. I don't know where that one came from. Sorry, Naomi. I mean,
me either. It's just when I see Naomi Schiff, I don't think about cocks.
No, I mean, what does that say about me? I don't know.
I think about those beautiful ebony colors. Never mind, but
right,
she
okay.
is gorgeous.
Cool.
She's pretty much. I think she's the best looking woman in F1.
Fair enough. Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so how's it going? Are you happy with how the season is going?
I mean, we're one race in, but I mean, race one was exciting and a half, worth getting up at 4 a.m. for. I don't know what the time difference is with us two. What time were you up for the Grand Prix?
5 o'clock it started.
Okay, so you get
no 6 o'clock. But I got up at 5 o'clock to watch the F1 TV pre-show.
Right. Okay. So yes, you get a little bit more respite than us in Britain. We can't complain. We get it all good the rest of the year. But no, it was fun. I mean, the rain, I think, added a lot more drama to it. I think it's kicked off a lot of the big storylines, particularly with the rookies, and we'll see how they bounce back in China. Sprint weekend, of course, coming up as well, and some of them have very limited racing experience now. So there's a lot to come, and I think with the title fight as well, can Piastri bounce back? Could this now be a Norris runaway title chance? I don't know. When will Norris cock it up next? Essentially, is my next question. But he seemed to handle Australia really well, particularly when you had Verstappen on him in the last few laps, and held him off. I think that's shown a lot of character development from where we saw him this time last year and throughout a lot of 2024 when he just seemed frightened of Max's shadow. So I think it could be a fun year. I mean, it's very much a 2021 year in that sense, in that we're at the end of a set of technical regulations. The cars are as close as they are ever going to be, and there's a lot of excitement on the horizon. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
well, I think all your comedy reviews are going to be 20 minutes long with all these.
They've been getting longer,
and the Hamilton Ferrari saga, because. Yeah, what happened to him in the first race is something we're probably going to see nearly all year round, with a few spikes in performance. But the miscommunication between him and his engineer, Ferrari weird strategy. Those are things I already expected. But anyway, I don't want to go into the season too much, because first I wanted to talk to you about your channel. How's it going with your channel? Do you have certain goals this season? What are your plans with your new studio? Just fill us in a little bit.
So I might as well drop the new studio plans. This is a bit of, depending when this goes live, it could be a bit of an exclusive, but new podcast. That's the plan for 2025. It's the big kind of thing I've been building up to now for what feels like a year. And we filmed the first episode on as Tuesday as we record this, and Friday is episode 1. So that will probably be out just before the Chinese Grand Prix. So I don't know when this is releasing, but that may or may not be an exclusive. But Talk Shift is where we're going. I was so gutted. I was hoping we would get Upshift Creek, but someone took that and hasn't uploaded in about 10 months, which is really, really gutting. But hey, Talk Shift is where we're at. Me and a friend of mine I've known for about 15 years are doing it together, and really excited for that.
And he's not on YouTube at all? He's
No,
a
not at all.
content creator?
It's a bit of a risk, but we'll see, and we'll see what he gets cancelled for as well when someone inevitably stumbles across a tweet
Hey,
from about 10 years
Is it
ago.
going to be a new YouTube channel, and are you going to put it on Spotify and Apple and everything?
That's the plan. So, I mean, FP1 started as Formula Podcast 1. Loads of it, that's kind of got lost now in history. It's what it used to stand for. And it was podcasts. And I thought, that'd be easy. It'd be easy to do. And then I basically realized that no one would watch somebody who didn't know much about Formula 1, despite having watched it for so long, rattle on his own for an hour. So, we sort of transitioned into comedy, and I genuinely don't know, or attempts at comedy. Let's stress that. I do not remember when or why that happened, but yeah, it's probably Josh Revel, to be honest. I think he was one of the main kind of bits of inspiration back at the start of it, and it's just sort of flourished from there. It took a long time. I mean, I've been uploading on YouTube since 2012. 2019, 2020, we crossed over 1,000 subscribers. So it took a long time to build up, but we're in an exciting situation now.
How serious were you in 2012? And how you must have been a teenager.
I'm not even that. I was 12 years old, and I was, and I thought I'd be the next big thing, uploading Minecraft videos and screaming into a mic that was about as much of a mic as a McDonald's Happy Meal is. So I mean, it was. When you're that age, you think you're gonna take off straight away, and my balls hadn't dropped. Like, there's a reason those videos have been scraped from the internet, and you'll never find them because they are. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll release them on Patreon at one point, but I can't risk them leaking. So
you were playing Minecraft then, and then later on the Formula One stuff came in.
Yeah, I think I dabbled a little bit with like Formula One news, like the occasional video, sort of around 2015, 2016, and I was doing a bit of F1 gaming at that time. And then it kind of got to 2017, and kind of exams were coming in with school, and I thought, we'll park it for a bit. And then 2019, I said, let's do it again. And it was actually Sean from the F1 Word, who I get on really well with now. So it's kind of weird, but I was watching him at the time and thinking, I could do kind of like a news/podcast sort of show, and tried that out in 2019, and to not even mild success kind of relative to what I'm at now, but I gained a couple of 100 subscribers and thought, this is all right. And then COVID hit. I'd sort of transitioned into comedy a little bit at this stage, albeit had no comedic timing, had no sense of what funny was. And I can remember the video. It was right at the start of 2020, potentially between practice and qualifying for the Austrian Grand Prix, which is, of course, thanks to COVID, the opening round of the season. And I put a video together outlining why Ferrari was screwed going into 2020, which aged incredibly well, which is so unlike me. But it paid off, and hey, here we are. It's nearly 6 years, 5 years after that video, and I don't think I could have kind of seen it going as well as where we are now.
No, because you're doing this professionally now.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not my full-time job still, but we're getting there. Still working the 9 to 5, but which is top secret.
Wow,
I can't say that, but it's I have no social life is what I've basically worked out as a result of that. I'll do the 9 to 5, and then I'll work on YouTube from 5 to about 1 a.m. and then wake up at 6, 7 again to do the 9 to 5. And
wow. Sometimes on
it's
Instagram,
mad.
I see you hanging out with friends.
I get out every now and then, but I'm actually amazed I got out last weekend for the posting I think you're talking about. So yeah, I can get a bit of a social life in every now and then, but it's a lot at the moment. I think the transition to full time, if this keeps going as well as it is probably not too far away now.
No. And is that something you're looking forward to?
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait. I don't know. Maybe people from work are watching this now, and that's going to be a risk to say. But Yeah, I think give it a couple of years, and I think then there will be a natural point where I can leave that 9 to 5 and then transition into this full time, and I'm pretty hyped for
Well,
that.
I suppose it'll give you like more freedom to schedule it all in your own
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then the pressure on having everything you make having to perform is also getting bigger.
Yeah, definitely. But I've got a bit of a game plan for that, and I've kind of got at least a rough outline of how I would kind of work out the income and make it all work out. So we'll see. I mean, it's YouTube is such a bigger kind of business than you expect it's going to be going in, particularly when you start getting bigger and you realize, oh God, there's so much more logistically you've got to sort out now. You don't quite appreciate it at the beginning. So yeah, I kind of enjoy the logistics bit a little bit. It's strange. I probably shouldn't, but hey, I don't mind it.
No, well, yeah, you all get your kicks out of different things, I I just like about my day job that I come in and there's a set amount of stuff that I need to do, and because we start so early in the morning, we finish early in the afternoon as well, and that gives me time to either write a video or record or start editing, or sometimes I just do nothing, and I can do that because my YouTube channel is a hobby, and I like that freedom as well. So
yeah, they're definitely. I couldn't even tell you when the point came when it stopped being a hobby and started being more of a side hustle / second sort of business thing on the side. I don't know when that happened. It was before 100K, I think, even. So maybe a couple of years ago, 2022, 2023, something like that. And yeah, the sort of transition just sort of sneaks up on you, and you don't realize that, oh, hang on a minute, I've got to take this a little bit more seriously now. And you will make a video, and I'll look it back, and I'll think, do I actually want to upload that? I don't know. It doesn't. Like, there have been videos where I've made them, I finished it, I might have spent maybe 10, 12 hours on it, and I'll look at it and think, nah, that's crap. I'm scrapping that. And it goes in the bin, and it never sees the light of day. So
wow,
yeah, it's that. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
I usually find that if I post one of those videos, that it does better than all the other stuff that I made.
Fair enough. I mean, YouTube's a strange business. Like, some videos blow up and you have no idea why.
Like last year, I didn't have a banger for ages, and then there was a bit of rumor about Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, don't remind me.
Maybe going to Red Bull.
Oh, don't remind me.
So I flung an 8-minute video together, and I had to put in a few extra sentences to get to my 1,200 words to make it 8 minutes for the extra ad in it.
Nice. Yeah.
And
you're learning.
And it did like 14K views, which gave me like $50, which is good revenue for me. But
that's a good rate as well. Damn.
I'm forgetting to tell you that I had it done. And then I thought, this is ridiculous, and he's never going to make it to Red Bull, and it's all nonsense. But I uploaded it anyway, and I'm glad I did. But yeah. So talking about Daniel Ricciardo, that's your favorite driver, isn't it?
Yeah. It hurts. It still hurts this year. But I thought, oh, maybe I'll just side with like the next Kiwi or the next Aussie to come in.
But
and then
you've been in pain since 2020, then I think, or 2021. When did he join McLaren?
2021 was McLaren. Yeah. 2020 was a good year. We got 2 podiums at the Renault. That was all right. Yeah, 2021, it had its bad moments, but we got them on to win. So, and that was the one race in 2021 I missed as well. I was giving someone a tour around our university campus at the time, and then checked my phone and saw that, Verstappen was giving Hamilton a pat on the head, and Ricciardo was in the lead, and I thought I need to go home. So I caught the end of it, but I missed a lot of that race, which is kind of gutting thinking back. But yeah, hey ho.
He famously said, "I never left."
Yeah, he did.
He was talking about his lack of talent.
Yeah, good, nice one. How many of those are we going to get through in the next half hour or hour or so?
No, I'm going to be nice. Now, I actually like Daniel Ricciardo as well, and I was really angry when he announced that he was going to Renault. because I hated Cyril Abiteboul, and to see his smug face saying, "Oh, it looks like you need a car and a new driver." I hated that.
I can remember where I was for that as well. I was in a Wenzel's eating like a fat fuck was what I was doing when that news came through. But yeah, I at the time I thought, well, that's a bit strange. I didn't see that coming. And then yeah, he wasn't bad. People seem to think he was bad at Renault. I don't get that. He thrashed Hulkenberg, he thrashed Ocon. He got podiums in 2020. I mean, it was overall a decent stint. I think we still had the Honey Badger. He wasn't as comfortable with the car as he was in his Red Bull days, but the car wasn't as good as the Red Bull. So, you know, he was struggling to take it, you know, into regular kind of top 5 contention back then. So I think given the car he had underneath him, I think he did a really good job. And, you know, there are other podiums. I think Mugello, he nearly got a podium in 2020 as well. So, I mean, granted, half the field had crashed out at that point, but yeah, 2021 was rough. I mean, it was interesting when he was on the verge of going after Singapore, and I made that big Daniel Ricciardo video, which is the proudest video the video I'm most proud of anyway. And I was going through and I was looking at, admittedly, the Wikipedia page. That's where all F1 YouTubers go to do their best research. But just looking at his 2021 season, I thought that doesn't look too bad on the face of things. And then you look at the deficits Norris and you think, oh, actually, yeah, it wasn't great. And then you compare it to 2022 and you think, oh, well, maybe it was not too bad in the end. We didn't realize how good we had it in 2021. 22 was, yeah, less good. But yeah, at that point, I think he probably was done. It was nice to go back and see him. And I remember getting because I was working with Head Out at the time, and we got the gig sorted to go to Budapest in 2023. Obviously, not knowing that would be his first race back as well. And then we got that news, and I thought, oh my god, this is amazing. Yeah, and then of course watched that through Belgium as well. Got to that one, then got to Zandvoort where I met you, and then watched him break his hand. So that was fun. That was very much the beginning of the end, because then of course Lawson came in. So hey.
Yeah, and I still feel that Horner and the Red Bull organization kind of used this popularity to get the Visa Cash App sponsoring.
Oh yeah, I mean, but they've stayed, in fairness. So I mean, yeah. I think it definitely played a role. I don't know how many sponsors RB or Racing Bulls, whatever they're called these days, have lost over the season. But I don't actually think they lost a whole load. So I mean, you know, if you compare it to when Perez went and all of the sponsors that Perez brought with him, they've all left Red Bull now. It's not quite the same picture with RB and Ricciardo, like Visa, Cash App, but they're all still there. So yeah, but I remember even like the Cash App CEO had no idea what was going on when Ricciardo was rumored to be going after Singapore. So I'd love to know the inside story of that. I don't know if it's in Drive to Survive. I've not finished it yet. I mean, I don't know whether I believe it, even if it was, but yeah, I've not kind of bucked up the courage to watch the Ricciardo video. I've had to go through the trauma of seeing him leave so many times.
Yeah, but you did meet him once, didn't you?
Twice, yeah, I met him twice. First was in 2018 or 2017. Oh, it was whenever they did the F1 Live London event, which I think was 2017. Yeah. And it was sort of at the end. I think I've told this story before, but it was at the end of the event. All the drivers bar Hamilton were there, and they were all told to go into their taxis and drive off, and not to interact with fans in any way, shape, or form. And there was, you know, thousands of us there. And then I just remember watching all these drivers do it, and Ricciardo just says, "Nah, fuck off, I'm doing it." Those words. And then just goes over to the crowd and starts taking photos with fans. And I chased that man down the street. This was the barrier between the sort of trackside bit that they were running down for the show runs and where all the fans were. And I was just pelting it down this road, sticking my phone out, trying to get him to grab it. And right at the kind of end of the road where it kind of went into their makeshift paddock they had for the event, I held the phone out. He took the phone. It was a rubbish phone as well. It was a Huawei, and before Huawei were good and were known to be doing all sorts of things with their software. But yeah, just he takes a selfie, I've got it somewhere. I got him to sign it, actually. That was the second time I met him. I'll get to that in a second. And yeah, he basically turned around and said to the crowd, "Oh, he can send it to the rest of you." And then he went off. I didn't send it to them. But, you know, it was great. And then the second time was 2019 with Renault. And we were at Goodwood. And again, it's so much harder to get photos with drivers at Goodwood now, but this was sort of back in the era where it was still doable. I've kind of kept up a streak. Every Goodwood I've taken a photo with somebody. I had to stoop to Christian Horner levels last year, but I got a photo in. But I was sort of decked out in like a Ricciardo hat, a Ricciardo top, Ricciardo everything. And I bumped into this like Danny Rick super fan. Like she would have him sign parts of her body and then she would get it tattooed over. Like she was like full blown Ricciardo simp before like the days of F1 Twitter were kind of really kind of big and popular as well. But I thought, you know what, you're going to know where he is. I'm going to stick with you. That's fine. And lo and behold, that was the right call. I ended up getting a photo with him and I got him to sign that first photo, which I haven't dug out and put in it will go in the studio somewhere. It's still in the box. I need to find it. But yeah, that was good fun. But I remember I walked up and he sees just Daniel Ricciardo everything. He says, "Who's that dickhead?" And it was so Danny Rick. And again, like the nicest guy. Both times I've bumped into him, like he's had so much more time for the fans than a lot of the other drivers have. I've noticed anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna miss him, man. Basically, I'm gonna miss him.
It's a nice, wholesome story.
Yeah.
And well, it's a pity that it worked out this way. But all the bad stuff we'll forget about at some point, and then we're gonna think about those amazing wins he had. I made a sort of an old race comedy review about his win in 2014, his second win.
What in Hungary, wasn't it? I think I've seen that one. It was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. You could just see how good he was.
Took it to Mercedes.
I done a sort of a comedy review on a wild race in Baku where he overtook two people in the same corner.
What was that? 27? It was three people. Was it 2017? I think. Yeah, 2018. 2018, he got rammed into by Max.
Yeah.
So yeah.
17. Okay. So we were talking about visiting races because we met each other in Zandvoort. Are you planning on visiting any races this year?
None in the pipeline at the moment. I'm still kind of umming and ahhing over whether I do Hungary again. Because I love Budapest is what I found out. It's one of the greatest races that I've been to. I think out of the maybe topped by Spa, but with Spa you've got to camp outside, and that was pretty tough. I made the mistake in Spa of thinking I booked like the glamping tents, and then I'd taken my mum along to it as well, and I thought we get in this glamping tent, and then we get there, and I realised that I've not booked the glamping tent, and I've booked like the little. You haven't got Duke of Edinburgh, but the little hiking tents, which are like
I saw the
just
pictures
about
on
fit.
Twitter.
Yeah, just about fit two people. And that was not. It also got infested with ants halfway through. It chucked it down the whole way. When you got into the circuit, everything went right. As soon as we left the circuit, it just all hell broke loose. So we ran out. We had no water for one of the evenings as well. It was chaos. But Spa as a circuit was stunning, and we hiked around it. Yeah, so you know exactly then. Like it's so beautiful, and it's such a shame that it's. Yeah, only going to be on the calendar once every other year now.
But I was going to say, if you fancy coming to Zandvoort,
is this year the last year, or is it next year that's the last year?
Next year is the last year.
I want to come to one of them.
Last year I took my wife, but yeah, that means I have to pay for the ticket, and she follows F1 because I'm into F1, but it's not really her thing. Yeah. So I really want to go with a content creator. And I've been asking around, but we'll talk about it after the podcast. Yeah. But we can organize this pretty cheap because you can sleep in our guest room.
True. That's a shout, actually. Okay.
And it's a 40-minute train ride from my house to.
And the trains are efficient over there.
Yeah.
Like that was the one thing that blew me away. Like it was so efficient. But yeah, it was. I did like Zandvoort. The only thing I had with Zandvoort is they were funny with people bringing cameras in, and I sort of smuggled mine in. It was probably borderline. I know it wasn't acceptable. Let's be honest, it really wasn't. But I sort of smuggled it in.
Don't like having people having these telelenses.
Yeah, I mean, mine's. It wasn't even it wasn't really a telephoto lens. It was only a 200mm lens.
Yeah, it's just these professional photographers, they have to pay a shitload of money to go there and make good pictures, and then people in the audience are doing the same thing.
Yeah,
That's probably why they don't like it.
I get it, but also you don't have to pay that much money to get in there. You can sit in the stands as well, and when you're in the stands, it's very much limited in the sort of photos you can take. So yeah, I've got some cracking ones in my time. Like I really do enjoy the motorsport photography, and that's the other good bit about Hungary is they don't give a damn about that. I've never had an issue with cameras there, and I think even Silverstone apparently are getting funny on it now. I was chatting to somebody in Hungary, just someone in the grandstands, and they were saying, "How did you get that in?" I was like, "You can just bring it in. There's no issues." And he was like, "Yeah, but at Silverstone you can't. They stop you doing it." And I'm like, "It's just a shame, really." But yeah, it is what it is. I remember being really kind of naive though, and I was only just getting into motorsport photography and photography in general. I emailed Zandvoort saying, "Oh, so what are the regulations on the lenses?" And he was like, "Oh, it has to be like a minimum of 30mm lens." And I was sat there measuring the length of my lens, thinking that's what that meant. Which is bad given I've been doing YouTube for God knows how many years before that point. And I hadn't quite clocked that, so I was very lucky. But I sort of smuggled the lens in a coat pocket at the bottom of a bag and got through. But it was a nerve-wracking experience getting to the gate because the Dutch are efficient on that sort of thing. So it was fun, but. Yeah, that's the one thing with Zandvoort. The food was stunning though, and they had a type of cider there that I now order in to the UK because it was so good. So once or twice a year, I'll get some of that in because it was beautiful.
Okay. I used to drink a lot of cider, just Strongbow.
Nice.
I used to open up a 3-liter bottle when I started a movie, and then I had it finished by half of the movie, and then I could watch the rest of the film the next day because I don't remember anything of it. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad those days are over. Hey, so how are you feeling about current F1? It's going to be an exciting season, but the cars are still too big and they're too heavy.
Yeah.
But overall, are you happy enough?
I mean, if we get seasons like I think we're going to have this year, you get good races, and more races are exciting than not. I don't mind it. I think we kind of get to the end of years like this, and we did the same thing in 2021 where we were like, oh, why are we changing regulations and going to a stage where everyone's miles apart again in terms of the lap times, because you get the best seasons when everyone's closest. But I'm also excited about the 26 regs. I think the lighter cars is going to be nice, maybe not as light and not as nimble as we want them to be. I think aesthetically, I prefer them. It's just the little things like the little wheel brows going. I'm quite happy about that. The return to sort of more standard end plates on the on the front and rear wings. Like, I think proportionally they just look a lot nicer. So I'm kind of looking forward to having those. And yeah, I think now just get the engines, get V10s in. That'd be great. It won't happen. The one thing I agree with Ben Sulayem on, but yeah, I think we're in a good boat going into 2026. I think give that kind of rule set a few years to mature and let the cars even out, and I think we'll be in for some for some good racing.
But we'll talk about the 26 regulations a little bit more later. Now, do you think McLaren are going to stay dominant, or do you think Red Bull will catch up soon enough, especially with the mini DRS and TDs coming in?
I think it's the TDs that are going to be the big thing. We already know they're going to put some more stringent tests in for China, so we'll see if that does anything. But yeah, I think the Spanish Grand Prix is the one we're all talking about because we've got those new regulations coming in and new stricter tests on flexi wings, and allegedly that's where Red Bull are struggling. So we'll see if that's what brings them back into play. I think they've said as well they're kind of modelling an upgrade plan to come back and take the fight to McLaren. So I don't think we're going to have a one-sided championship. If anything, I think it could well be the flip side of what we saw last year, where McLaren are dominant in the beginning and we see Red Bull playing catch up over the second half of the year, and the likes of Norris playing sort of damage control. And I think that'll be really interesting to see, to sort of compare it to last year, because of course Verstappen was able to limit that damage well enough to win the championship anyway. Whereas I think, McLaren obviously have a stronger steading in the constructors race. They haven't got a Perez in the other half of the car, but they do have a tendency to bottle things. So, we'll see if that continues into 2025, and if it does, then we could well have a very exciting title fight between Norris and Verstappen. But it's early days, and for all we know, Lance Stroll will rock up in China with a godly upgrade on his Aston Martin and dominate the field. Who knows? It's way too early to tell. For all we know, Bahrain and Australia were rubbish tracks for Aston Martin. They've actually had this god of a car built in this entire time. They'll rock up to China and be miles ahead of everybody. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're not at the wild prediction yet.
That's not it.
What are your expectations for Ferrari and Mercedes then? Like, will Leclerc and Russell impress? Are they going to be in the title fight?
No, I don't. I thought preseason maybe, but I think having seen the pace in Australia, I think it's now time for those teams to kind of put their eggs in the 2026 basket. That makes sense at this stage. They can sort of squabble over P3, P4. I don't think they're going to have a lot of competition on that front. I think it's still kind of the top four teams, and then there's a bit of a gap to your RBs, your Williamses. Williams have come a long way. They're quite impressive. Kimi Antonelli really impressed me though in Australia, and I think I forgot it was his first F1 race. You see the moves around the outside of, I can't remember who it was. Was it Albon maybe? I think it was Albon in the closing stage. It goes around the outside of turn 9, I think. The sort of fast sweeping left-hander. And that I thought, wow, okay, that's impressive. That is really impressive. So I think Russell's gonna have his have his wits about him essentially in the second half of the year when Kimi adapts more to that Mercedes. I think there's a lot to come from that team. There's also the kind of murmurings of what's going on with George's contract. Mercedes still gunning for Verstappen. They won't get him, but does George start looking elsewhere? There's a lot of things on the table there. So
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The silly season could be another. Well,
it won't be as crazy as last year. There are a lot more seats that are limited, I think. But George basically holds the linchpin. If he, for whatever reason, decides he wants to move away from Merc, be that because I don't know why he would. I mean, unless he's really impressed by, say, the Audi project, which I don't think anyone would be. And one of their drivers has a stinker and they need to get him out of their contract. But or if he goes to Red Bull, swaps with Verstappen. But again, both of those things are so unlikely, and he's far more likely just to stick with Merc. That's the safe bet. It's the sensible bet. It's probably what he will do. But
he'll probably
even
get
so,
a 1+1
it's interesting
there as well.
Yeah, exactly. A 1+1 I think would be really interesting. I think a 2+1 I can see. A 1+1 would be, if I was George and they said, yeah, we'll give you a 1+1, we'd be thinking, oh well, you've not kind of got a lot of faith in me then. So, or it depends on who has the +1, whether George gets the +1 or whether it's the team that have the authority of the +1. Who chooses, essentially? If it's in George's hands, fair enough. But if it's in Merck's hands, then as George, I'd be thinking, where's the confidence in me at that point?
Hey, and hashtag blessed.
Yeah, good old hashtag blessed. Mixed bag. I think, again, you've got to give him time to sort of settle into Ferrari. But
For the people that don't know, hashtag list is Lewis Hamilton.
mm.
And there was a while where Lewis Hamilton would put that in his tweets all the time. And
I don't know when that stopped.
Keeps calling him that in the comedy reviews.
Yeah, I don't know when that started either, but people loved it. So I was like, yeah, all right, we'll carry it on. I think he was probably the first nickname, apart from maybe some more offhanded ones for the likes of Stroll and Mazepin that are maybe stuck over the years. But that one is definitely, I think it's the one that I may be most known for. I mean, give him a bit of time in that Ferrari, but I also don't think we're seeing an 8th championship from him. Just being realistic, I think he's probably past it. He can still perform very well. You look at Daniel Ricciardo last year, right? He was past his peak by a fair way, but there were times like, say, the P4 in the Miami Sprint or the P5 in Canada qualifying, and I think he did all right in the race there as well, where you think, okay, no, this guy's still got it, but he just hasn't got the consistency. I think that's kind of where we sit with Lewis, but those peaks are higher. Those peaks are like Silverstone last year where he won the race. And those troughs are maybe more kind of P4s, P5s, and being, a little bit behind his teammate. I think that's probably where we sit with Lewis at the moment.
Yeah, well, like his first championship was a really weird one, where he finished 5th in Brazil and grabbed the championship in a season with Crashgate.
Yeah.
And then the other 6 were all at Mercedes when they had a unholy dominant engine. But he still needed to beat Nico Rosberg.
Yeah, and I think as we found out, Rosberg was a lot. We should have given him a lot more credit than we did. I think when we saw Bottas, who was not a bad driver by any means, but he was a much more of a number 2 to Lewis than, say, Nico was. We didn't appreciate quite how good Rosberg was at the time.
And I was very impressed afterwards, I can say that now, with Lewis Hamilton in 2021, because Max Verstappen threw everything at him. And especially in those last 5-6 races, the two of them were 30 to 50 seconds ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
Battling it out. Top-notch strategy, top-notch driving, faultless. And then Max, knowing he had to hold on to his lead, especially in Jeddah, that race just went completely, a full-out war on Lewis Hamilton, and still Lewis won those last 3 races, and then the last one, well, we know what happened there. But he was very strong and consistent there. But I feel that over a whole season, Lewis Hamilton always has like 2 or 3 races where he's not completely full on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
not in the
sort
sense
of
where
Germany
Max,
2019 kind of races where, obviously dominant car, Hamilton wins the championship by a fair bit, maybe a bit of competition from Ferrari, but not a lot. But, Germany 2019, he's just not on the ball.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Like in Russia, he made those 2 test starts in a place where he wasn't allowed to do it, and and even in the 2021 season, there were a few weird things like pressing the magic button, which he did again in Russia, and ran into his Jackman. Don't know if you remember that.
No, I'd forgotten about that one.
But yeah, Imola, he went off track in the wet. But yeah, towards the end of the season, he was fully locked in. And that was impressive.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll get the car to get locked in for a championship at Ferrari.
No. Not unless 26 comes around and they happen to have put together a masterpiece, which I still don't think Ferrari are capable of. I think they should have rallied harder for Newey. If I was honest, put Newey and Hamilton together. Instead, he goes and makes cars for Lance Stroll now. It feels so wrong. It feels so wrong. And whether Alonso will even be functional to get the most out of them by 26. I don't know. I mean, Fernando, I wonder if this year is going to be the year where we start to see things just peter off a little bit. Like we've been waiting for that for a while.
Yeah. We're probably saying this because he crashed in
yeah, probably a little bit, but
in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, look at Stroll, P6, Stroll carrying the team at the moment.
Yeah.
So probably got half the points that he already had from last year. So just in one race.
I saw a tweet from a guy called RPM.
Oh, yeah.
He said something like people shouldn't be so hard on Lance Stroll. that was after a 40-minute video just about Lance Stroll.
Can I say I rate RPM so highly. I mean, he is. It's good to have him back. Firstly, it's good to have him back. I've missed a bit of RPM, but when I was going through all my issues with like FOM last year, he was one of the first people to sort of reach out and really kind of lend a hand. And
because you guys talking through DM.
Yeah. Never spoke to him on the phone, just through DMs, and he has his persona, how he comes across, but maybe he'll hate me saying this, I don't know, but he's an incredibly supportive guy, and when I was kind of fighting FOM and we were looking at, do we take it to court? That was a potential at one point. He was saying, oh, I'll put some money in for it. I'll help fight it with you. And I was like, damn, that's mad. That's mad. So I've got a hell of a lot of respect for him. Yeah, he's a controversial guy. I mean, I think he knows that himself, but
you never see him on podcasts or anything. He's not like.
No, I think he said in the past, like, he doesn't. I don't want to say speak for him in this case, but I don't think he likes doing collabs. He lets people just kind of get on with their own thing, because I think he knows as well that he's quite controversial, and everything he can say might reflect on the person he's on the podcast with. So I'm pretty certain he said something on his Patreon at some point about or on his podcast about not wanting to do collabs or not doing collabs with people. And the reasoning he gave, I remember looking and thinking, yeah, that makes sense. I forget what it was, but yeah. I think an FP1 RPM collab would break the internet. No, that's true. He doesn't benefit at all off that. It's very much a one-way kind of beneficial collab, but yeah.
Because I did DM him, but it's still not read.
But you think how many he gets? He probably gets. I don't even know how many he gets. Yeah. I mean, I know how many I get, and I can't keep up with it, and I can't read and reply to all of them. So yeah, when he's like 3-4 times the size of my channel, I just wouldn't even bother opening my DMs at that stage.
No, you probably get into that special file in your DMs, and I do check it, because some of these Russian single women, they do look really nice. But for the rest, I don't get many interesting invitations. I have to do it all myself.
Yeah, but
that's fine.
Nah, you don't want the single woman in your area anyway, mate. You're all good.
Okay. Is there anything you wanted to share about this season? Anything that you think will happen that stands out, or
anything that I think will happen that stands out? I think we will see a Hamilton win potentially. Right. It will take the right things to fall into place, and probably Norris and Verstappen to bin it into each other, which is inevitable at some point in the year. But I think that there's a high likelihood of that. I think we'll see a couple of shock podiums this year as well. Williams, I think, will end up on the podium at the rate they are going. Question is, I don't think Williams will develop much this season. I think they will. They were meant to be focusing on 2026 anyway. I don't know where this pace has come from. But
I made a video saying that Sainz is not going to have a good time at Williams, with all kinds of quotes from James Fowles saying that 2025 is going to be a hard year for them, and then they come out of the testing as pretty much the 5th best team.
Yeah, I mean, I said Fraudbon was going to struggle, and there he goes, takes P4 while Sainz crashes under safety car. So, I mean, what we're proving there is F1 YouTubers know absolutely nothing. So, yeah.
No, well, we let our hearts speak, and that's not always very reliable. Yeah, how James Vowell said there was going to be a terrible year, and then it turned out to be a very good year so far.
Yeah, and again, there was me making a video on Fraud Bond saying that he was going to struggle, then gets P4, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, basically we know nothing as YouTubers is essentially what we've worked out there. So yeah, you shouldn't trust us. I don't know why you watch us. Basically, is what we've established.
Yeah, well, it's all entertainment.
Yeah.
So, but
I can be funny sometimes. That's all we need, right?
That's what we need, a bit of entertainment. Hey, and do you think the 2026 season is going to be entertaining? We talked about it a little bit earlier. Like, I'll tell you my personal opinion first. At the minute, the sales of electric cars have gone downhill badly.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be subsidized here in Holland. I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but that's all stopped now. And actually, the taxes on these big heavy cars has gone up. So at the minute, it's more expensive to drive with an electric car now than it is to drive with a petrol car. And the whole reason why Formula One wants all these batteries included in Formula One is because they want to sell road cars. So that's why I don't understand the need for these big, massive, heavy batteries to get 50% power from the engine and 50% power from a battery, if that's the way it's going.
It's hard to say. I think there's also a talk about, is it actually sustainable fuels that we're looking at from the more road car link? And I don't know a whole lot actually about these engine regs for 26. I feel like they keep changing so often. I don't know what is in and what's out at the moment, but yeah, I don't know. The 26 season is going to be, I think it's going to be a disappointment because I think there's been a lot hyped up about it, but I think given how good this year is going to be, a bit like 2022 was a bit of a disappointment given how good 2021 was. Basically, that's kind of where I see us ending up, which it is a shame, but it's just kind of the natural kind of cycle of Formula One where we get these kind of gradually getting better seasons as the regs bed in and as the cars get tighter and as the rivalries build up, and then as soon as we get the new set of regs, it all kind of falls away again and the cars kind of drift out performance wise. So I don't know. I think again, there's been a lot of talk about V10s, whether we go back to those. As amazing as that would be, I think given we've just got all these engine manufacturers in, Ford, we've got Audi coming in, Honda's coming back for about the 50 millionth time. And,
a new team
then,
with Cadillac.
Yeah, of course, with Cadillac. How can you forget? So,
but they're driving with Ferrari engines first, right?
They are. So they've got Ferrari engines till I think 2028. And then they'll develop their own ones. I think that could be a Honda scenario. I think Cadillac could very easily miss. What am I trying to say? Misread how competitive Formula One can be. I think it's going to be, a bit of a baptism of fire for them. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, the last new team we had, I still can't believe it was nearly 10 years ago in Haas. And they're doing okay. I mean, midfield is kind of where you always saw them. They're not back markers anymore.
No.
So
no more need for Haas Watch.
No, it's a shame. I mean, I made an entire intro for Haas Watch in 2024, and I think I used it maybe once. And then we had Alpine Watch, and then they got good again. That's the advantage of having the new regs. We have someone who's miles behind, and they can have their own watch segment in the comedy review.
Now, if Mercedes builds this strong engine again, then we might get a George Russell championship.
Or a Kimi Antonelli championship. I'm not going to lie. Again, I think I was skeptical. I was genuine. Before Australia, I was skeptical, and I thought, chuck him in a Williams, give him a few years. But I don't know. I mean, it's one race. I don't want to say that I think he's the dog's bollocks straight away, but early implications are good. I mean, if you look at how far he's come, I mean, you take his first FP1 in Monza last year, looked mega, but just was too confident in the car and chucked it into the barriers 3 laps in. Then we get to his first race and it's chucking it down, and he pulls off he gained 12 positions over the course of the race, went from 17th to 5th or fourth. He came fourth.
The penalty was deducted.
Couldn't remember what way around it was. Yeah, so ended up fourth, and you think, damn, that is bloody impressive. So
and kind of effortless, like you did.
Yeah.
Once he went off track once. What do you call him? F1 Unchained. That's a creator friend of mine. He made a video yesterday about Kimi Antonelli. So, I know you don't have much time, but that video only takes about 8 minutes, and it's a really good video about Antonelli and his driving style.
I'll give him a watch.
Apparently, he has the same braking late and very hard style as Lewis Hamilton.
And
he
okay.
Mickey, that's what you call him. He analyzed it, and but it's a really good watch. I can highly recommend it.
I'll give it a look this evening then. I'll give it a look this evening then. In that case.
So I'm afraid that it's going to be another engine competition, and with Red Bull powertrains just being new, that's going to be a baptism of fire as well.
Exactly. Yeah, with Ford coming in, that could go both ways. I think they have a bit more of an established setup on that front, and coming at the start of 2026 isn't a bad call. I think coming in 2028, a bit like when Honda jumped in 2015. Like all the other teams had a year of actually running these engines to work out what was going right, what was going wrong. And we saw if you think back how bad reliability was in 2014 testing, reliability was awful. The Red Bull could barely make it down the end of the pit lane before it blew up. So it was crazy if you compare it to how reliable the cars are nowadays. So part of me, and that's something I kind of miss about Formula One. You kind of go back to the early 2000s and you'd have these dramatic engine blow-ups and you think, yeah, that added an extra layer of unpredictability, and you could be leading the race, and then all of a sudden engine goes, and you've got a shock winner on the cards. So I miss that.
These big plumes of smoke coming out of the back.
Yeah,
I think the last time we seen it was Carlos Sainz in a Ferrari.
We still get them very occasionally, but it's not the same with the old kind of V10s and V8s. They used to really go bang when they blew up. You knew about it. Nowadays, it's sort of they see it on the data and they stop the car before it does any of that. I think we must have had one or two.
So basically,
last year,
with the quality of Formula One cars and the reliability going up, the quality of the races and the unpredictability is going down.
I wouldn't say the quality of the races, because I think the quality of race probably increases actually a little bit, but because drivers can push harder basically, and they can rely on their equipment a little bit more. But I think the unpredictability definitely takes a bit of a hit. Like you don't get the chances of shock winners anymore in the same way that maybe you did in the past.
Yeah.
But that's not based on any statistics at all. That's just me thinking back. I'm sure someone can now jump in and
If I think in the last 10 years, the shock winners, we're talking about Pierre Gasly, who came in the lead after getting lucky with a red flag, I think, and Esteban Ocon won a race.
Hungary 21.
Yeah, because Bottas went bowling.
And
after that,
Danny Rick, you could argue. But I mean, shock win. But can I just say, people seem to think that he only won because Hamilton and Verstappen came together. He was in the lead long before that and looked comfortable. I just want to put it out there.
No,
that win.
I agree.
Bit more merit to it than that.
Although Max did have an 11-second pit stop because
True.
Toto Wolff pushed for a TD to change the pit stops.
You can blame that on Kevin Magnussen. He was the one that broke down the entrance of the pit lane, wasn't it? Was that year? No, that was the Gasly win. That was 2020, I think.
Yeah,
I'm mixing my Monza races
weren't
up.
Allowed into the pit lane then.
Yeah, and then that was when Hamilton dropped back, which allowed Gasly, and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, Hamilton did a lap on Inters. He was the only one at the start.
That was Hungary 21. We're getting all completely mixed up again.
And we're talking about 2026.
Yeah, I know. Where's this gone?
So, what else can we say about 2026? No, it's too far away. We still have this season to enjoy.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good one as well. I think we shouldn't just rush into 2026. We need to enjoy this year because I think it will probably be better than 2026, if I'm honest, from just a racing perspective. We don't know. The one thing we haven't talked about actually is this active aero that's supposedly coming in, and that could be interesting. I don't quite know where that's going to go yet. I don't think the teams quite know where that's going to go yet. I can just see it failing on a car and it turning it into a missile straight into the turn one barriers somewhere, but. We'll see. I think I worry it's a little bit too futuristic for my taste. I prefer it just.
Yeah, I believe the drivers don't have control over it themselves, have they?
I think they do. I think they must do. But it will probably be like automated to an extent around the lap. But I think the drivers can override it.
It can only get activated in certain circumstances, I think.
Probably, yeah. Really but or that there might be like certain, like over a certain speed, it then kind of activates the basically permanent DRS essentially, because obviously DRS is gone in 2026, which will be another interesting thing. Like I go back to I think it was Abu Dhabi 2019 or Abu Dhabi 2018, and they had an issue with the DRS system. And conveniently, there was no DRS for about 18, 20 laps. And it was the most dull experience. I mean, Abu Dhabi is boring anyway, but this was like they could use it as a new form of euthanasia. Dull. Like it was awful. So that's my other worry going into 26. Like that could really harm the racing because everyone essentially gets DRS at the same time. And I don't know. I'm slightly concerned about that, slightly skeptical.
Well, I haven't really informed myself about it yet. We're coming to the conclusion of this podcast. But what I like to do towards the end of the podcast is have a massive crazy wild prediction. Have you thought of one, or do you want me to go first?
You go first while I think of one.
Okay, well, I've written down as a wild prediction that Russell and Antonelli will come together this season and crash.
Okay. I can see that, actually. I can see it. I'm going to say Carlos Sainz podium. That's going to be mine. Carlos Sainz podium, I think.
And why not Albon?
I'm still not convinced he's back. I mean, I know Australia was good. And
I know YouTuber that
social media has been... Yeah, so go on. Who's that?
Yeah, Tomo.
Oh, right, okay. Of course it is. Yeah, of course. I don't know. I think we'll see. The way Colapinto nearly wiped the floor with him last year was a bit of kind of an alarm bell moment of, hang on a minute, we've been kind of praising this guy, but he's also had Latifi and Sargent as teammates. Like let's just kind of park it for a second. But I mean, Australia was a move in the right direction. I mean, P4 is very close to a podium. But of course, P5 after Antonelli's penalty reinstatement. But yeah, I don't know. I need to see a few more races before I'm convinced he is good. Because Carlos is of course the big first official benchmark who we know has pace because he was winning in a Ferrari last year. But we've got to remember as well that Carlos is adapting to that Williams in the same way that Hamilton is adapting to the Ferrari and Antonelli the Mercedes. So
that's something that's bugging me as well, that Lewis Hamilton, everything that goes wrong now is because he has to get used to a new team. And for some reason that doesn't count for the other people that move teams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's basically half the grid.
Used to the stake of one car as well.
Yeah, exactly. All the rookies are getting used to these cars, points. And it takes time. I mean, that was lucky strategy from Stake on that front. We've got to kind of admit that, but Stake looked a lot more impressive than they did in testing. I mean, granted, that's not a huge statement. They were absolutely dog shit in testing, but yeah, I mean. I thought they were going to be miles off the back of the pack. That now looks like it could be Haas again. it's way too early to say. And Australia's a bit of a weird track in that it will highlight. And Sauber were good. I'm going back, 10 years. I'm thinking 2016 and Felipe Nasr getting sixth on his debut. But they have had pace in the past and they have been good. So, we'll see.
Okay. Right. Well, on that note, everybody, thank you so much for watching this podcast. And Will, thank you very much for taking the time to do this with me.
No, pleasure.
I'll keep an eye on your channel. Where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter. It's at FP1. Is it at FP1Will? FP1.Will. I can't remember my own handle. That's helpful.
It doesn't matter. I'll put the links in the description.
Yeah.
And are you on TikTok
FP1Will? There's no dot
and all
anymore.
the other places as well?
I mean, I am, but I'm silent on there. YouTube's the main place to find me. I'm so sorry. My camera's just run out of memory. So you'll be talking. There'll be a floating logo probably talking to you now. Yeah, and then the podcast, Talk Shifts. That's the big one.
Yeah.
Talk Shifts. You can put the big Talk Shift thing up. That's where I'm.
If you send me the logo, I'll put that over your.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do. I will.
Hey,
yeah,
and for people that come on this podcast through FP1 Will and don't know me, please subscribe to my channel. I'm not as funny as Will, but I'm trying.
You'll get there.
Yeah, I'll get there.
I'm not that funny.
Everybody, take care now and doei doei.